Welcome to the iDesign Lab podcast. Today we are joined remotely by Lisa Morton, who is a designer who has a very special philosophy that I can't wait to dive into today. I'm sure you've all heard of Feng Shui or Feng Shui. We're hoping you're going to guide us on all the right things from spelling to saying it and all that it encompasses.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk about feng shui, holistic design. I really see this as so important in the future of the design world. So
Yes,
thank you
and
for
this
having me.
wellness philosophy that is so important into all of our lives today. I do think it's such an important philosophy that we bring into our homes and our life as well.
But before we jump into that, you've been an interior designer for a long time, correct?
Correct. A little over 20 years now.
But and the feng shui was not in your original aspect of your interior design when you started out?
My goodness. Feng shui was not even in my vocabulary. I had no clue. It was not in my world whatsoever.
Mm.
Um, I kind of joke that sometimes now I do the crunchy design, right? And that was not the type of person I was. I did a little residential design directly out of school and then I fell into my dream job, or thought was my dream job at the time, designing private jet interiors. And I did this for several years and it was fantastic. I got to
Such a
travel,
unique niche.
right? I got to use amazing materials and meet outrageous people, and everything was completely custom. It was such a wonderful experience. But it is that led me to this work. I kind of joke I was on call for 7 years, right? 'Cause that was my work was my life.
Yes.
And so um, I had to overcome a lot. I had a lot of perfectionism creep up, and just general burnout hit, to be honest.
Okay. It
I
was a
just
rigorous schedule you were keeping, meeting deadlines and
and also it was a schedule of constant travel, constant international travel. Like go in on a
wow.
Tuesday and go home, pack your bag. You're leaving in 3 hours to go to Paris.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
I
To
That
mean, on
work
sounds
one
to,
side,
exciting.
right? It's exciting. On the other side,
Yeah.
it's exhausting to do that nonstop.
so
Um,
but you're doing the interiors of private jets and so forth. That's a very unique, scope of work.
mhm. And also the price point, right? I mean, you're specking out outrageous materials
Right.
and
Custom
y-
carpets,
custom.
I'm sure.
My
I mean,
gosh,
literally
beautiful
like,
silk carpets
uh,
and backlit onyx in the bathroom, and
yeah, monograms, I'm sure galore.
yes, they were very special, very unique, and it was a wonderful experience. But you know, it did just take a toll on myself, and so then I started doing all the things you're supposed to do during a difficult time like that, doing the meditation and practicing yoga. I altered my diet, started walking more, exercising more, doing all the things. And
Going back to nature.
yes, yes, I'm a nature lover, and that was huge. Um, but for me, it was really looking at my environment, and I got to thinking, well, how can I help my space support me? Right?
Okay.
Beyond just functioning and looking beautiful and having cool things around me, how can I help it? How can I set it up to support my body? And so then it
Wow.
was kind of like trial and error. I started studying holistic design. I started studying feng shui. This was 10 years ago. And now I've studied it, I've trained in it, learned it, and now I get to help so many other people. So it's
So
been
so
this beautiful
explain
full
to
circle moment.
explain to us and tell us exactly what that means, feng shui, for people who are listening
It
or
has to
watching.
do with alignment.
Exactly, bingo. So, I feng shui is actually over 4,000 years old and was first documented in southern China. And it's this beautiful approach to arranging your space, to aligning your space, to discovering how your space works, right? How it flows, what you need in your space. And when we can do this, then we can bring everything into harmony. And I notice clients who, after we work together, it They might just be more joyful in their home and like their home, but other things, their nervous system is going to soften, right? They might be able to walk in at the end of the day and their shoulders drop, right?
Right.
They can take a bigger breath.
Right. So if we start at the very beginning, I guess, how did you decide to dive into this, and what was like the first step you took? I mean, I can imagine reading things. I've read things through the years because I randomly will have clients, ask me about certain questions, and I almost feel like ignorant if I don't have the answer. Like, oh, if I don't know feng shui, like, what are they going to think of me and my design expertise? But there's certain little things that trickle out into society. But what do you think, like, was your beginning core to basically institute it as a way of design?
So I started reading books, like so many people, because I wanted to have a little knowledge to add to kind of the holistic design I was exploring with my clients. Because after I left my aircraft job, I started my own residential design firm. And I was working and doing this as well as studying and learning. And I started working one on one with a teacher, feng shui teacher,
Uh-huh.
and really understanding the principles and started implementing little things. And some of my clients didn't get it. They maybe weren't even interested in it. And that's okay. But I still had this knowledge if I were to select or recommend a drapery fabric, right? Well,
Right.
maybe I'd suggest blue versus green, right? If we have the option, just because I have that knowledge that blue is going to bring them more fluid and more of a sense of creativity in this specific space. So that was a
Okay.
really fun experiment.
I know. And like to actually, I feel like to have that bandwidth to even like, as you're designing, that's just such another layer that is so fascinating to me. I mean, what are some of the main principles of feng shui? I mean, I know there's random, like, what, a bed isn't supposed to face
Yeah.
a door, or I mean, like, there's some
So,
random, like,
and you just mentioned color. So color having a
is
big difference.
I
And
always heard black in every room has to have.
I remember a number of years
We could-
ago, I moved my company to a new location, and one of my employees, she called me and she said, "Listen, I got to talk to you about where I'm sitting." And I said, "Sure." And she took me over to her desk and she said, "I can't sit here." I said, "Why?" She says, "Because I'm not facing and I forget which direction she wanted to face. She says, "I have to face," I don't know if it was north or south or east or west. And she's like, "If I don't, Scott, I won't be able to
Thrive.
do the work that I should be doing here." And I was like dumbfounded at the moment. But then I learned a little about that she was very much into feng shui.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we have a few different things we work with. Number one is balancing yin and yang. So something that's yin is very quiet, very still. Think of a spa vibe, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Peaceful music, soft colors, enticing aromatherapy. And then something that's yang is kind of the opposite. I always joke like a casino, right? Loud, active. It's those rooms where we have our friends over and we laugh and tell
Ah,
jokes, right? So we work on balancing yin and yang. We also use a 5-element system. So
okay.
you were mentioning some of these fun things you hear about arranging this or moving that, or this all stems from using the 5-element system,
Okay.
right? So there's it's not just a bunch of tips or tricks. There's a system. So we have wood, fire, earth, metal, and water.
Right.
And feng shui describes the world in one of these 5 elements.
Huh.
So maybe it's not a you're picking out the blue sofa, you're picking out a blue sofa that brings in a water element and fluidity, or the green sofa that will bring in a sense of growth and renewal because it's a wood element.
Oh.
And then we have a third step with that includes a Bagua map. So it's a map that we overlay over the floor plan of the home to decipher these different energy centers of your home. So you have an energy center that connects to your daily life, what you get up and do every day, your career, your life path, one that connects to health, right? All these different energy centers. And when we can work on one, say you're struggling with your health, I have clients call me. I've had this bug nonstop. I don't know what to do. Well, now we know where to go to look at your space,
Hmm.
and it
So what?
doesn't.
So when you start with a space, let's say you have a new client, do you start with the whole house, or a room, or if the client only wants to do, let's say, their living room, what's the first steps that you take?
Well, we need to look at it holistically. So we won't just start with a room.
Yeah, I was gonna
Sometimes I will
think
do
it
a
would
home
have to
office.
be a whole project would be for success, I would think. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you need
It
to
it
take the
we
full commitment.
Yeah, because one area is going to influence another area, right? It's all
Right.
going to work together. So it's really looking at their space and also looking at their goals. What are they
Mhm.
needing in life? What are they looking for? Whether it's goals like starting a new family or starting
Aw.
their new business. But
So,
then
so that's where you start with a client from a standpoint of your first meetings.
Mhm. Yes,
And
yes.
then would you say the next step is that you'd use the overlay plan to create your furniture plan? Is that because I always start with a furniture plan technically to,
Mhm.
start my design process.
So it's kind of a mixture of things. It's not like a traditional interior design process, right? So we're
Okay.
we're going to decipher anything, and then the way I do it is I provide them, it's like a 20-page report. So they have all the information about their home, and then we can dive in, and then we can explore and move furniture pieces around and bring in, a lot of times I'll even work with other designers. I'll be like, "Okay, they need
Right.
a mirror somewhere on this wall. They need artwork over here to draw the eye there, and we can collaborate too."
So are you instantly when you walk into a room like how I can, okay, this needs to go here and that needs to move this way, like in a feng shui sense versus a style aesthetic?
Certainly, it just gives you a different set of lenses to look at the world, right? So I
Mhm.
might see something that just isn't working. I had a client recently that I walked into their front foyer, and it was my first time meeting them, so I had to be careful. But I walked in, and they had a framed photo of their children, which was beautiful, and right next to it, a cactus plant, which cacti are very, very bad feng shui. I'm sorry, I know they're very fun looking, but they're bad feng shui, and I just couldn't handle the effects of a cactus next to their beautiful children, so I instantly asked to move it.
That's so funny. So go back to those 5 steps. Tell us what they are. Explain them.
So it's a 5-element system. So we have fire, water, wood, earth, and metal. So we want to bring fire in when we need to lift the energy. It's winter time. I get the winter blahs. So we need to lift the energy a little bit. So that could be through the color red, a bright fuchsia, through candles, brighter lighting, or even triangular shapes.
Hmm.
Water, we talked to water a little bit. It's about creativity and fluidity and just allowing free flowing thoughts, ideas, emotions. So we can do this through water, maybe a water feature, or the color blue, the color black, or any type of pattern with a wavy design to it, or
Hmm.
watercolor artwork.
So black is technically part of the water
It
step?
is. It
That's
is.
so
And a lot of people
fascinating.
are, it is because think about this. If you were to go to the ocean and you jump in and the water is pale blue at the very top, it's beautiful, and you dive deeper, right? It gets darker. You dive
Yes.
Hmm.
deeper, it gets darker until at
Right.
the bottom of the ocean, it's black.
Right.
Right.
So they're
Hmm.
connected. There's a
Hmm.
connection.
Hmm. I love to work with the wood element, especially if someone who's recovering from an illness. The wood element is all about regrowth and renewal and moving forward. You can bring this in through plants, flowers, which I love to have fresh flowers in my home every week, and the color green as well, or artwork showing um, flowers, a landscape, trees, something like that.
Mm.
And then any type of vertical stripe.
Huh.
And then we have wood. So wood is, I'm sorry, earth. Earth is like grounding, stability. On those days when you're frazzled trying to catch up with your schedule and do all of the things, you need more earth element in your life. That's beige, tan, brown. If you're needing more earth element in your environment, I would suggest low sofas, a
Hmm.
low rectangular table, a
Mm.
big textural throw, or a chunky rug.
Hmm.
And then we have the metal element, which I love in home offices because the metal element is all about precision, all about focus. So that's metal objects, the colors gray and white and pastels.
So the idea or the philosophy is not to have all 5 in one space, or is it?
We want to balance those 5 elements for the
Okay.
activity in the space, right?
Okay.
So a bedroom, we want it to be more peaceful, more calm. We'll have less fire, right?
Hmm.
Less wood element,
Mhm.
more of those calm, peaceful elements. And then a
Hmm.
kid's game room or an exercise room will bring more of those fiery, more wood elements in and less of the grounding earth.
Hmm. And is there any philosophy behind like a floor selection that has to do with falling into any of these
Certainly.
categories?
Certainly. Of course, I always love to default to natural materials as natural
Yes,
as
I do
possible,
too.
right?
Uh-huh. Yes.
They just make our bodies feel better. But then a wood element. So if you have wood flooring, that's a wood element, right? But it also has horizontal lines. So an item in your home might not just fall into one of the 5 elements, it might be a combination, right?
Okay.
So it has those long linear lines. So it's going to be grounding and a sense of renewal by having wood flooring. A tile's going to be really grounding and centering. Um, if you want to have a leopard carpet, which
Mhm.
I've seen before, right? Some of those wild patterns,
Yes.
that would be a fire element. I did a closet
Okay.
once and we had leopard carpet in there and it was great. She loved to dress fashionably and just wild, and it was
And
perfect for
that
her.
was probably good energy for being creative within that space.
Definitely, definitely.
What's the fastest way a person can feel a shift in a room if they don't want to do a complete redesign?
Okay. Well, this goes back to something you mentioned earlier about placing your body in a certain direction. So we have what's
Right.
called the command position. And
Hmm.
this is the ancients wanted to have a mountain behind you, and
Hmm.
then for protection, and then a valley below so you can see your enemies coming. All right. And then a little
Oh.
protection on the sides. But we can mimic that in our environment, and it makes us feel so much more comfortable and at peace. So to do this, you want a solid wall behind you.
Right.
If you're working at a desk, you want to have that solid wall behind you, not open and exposed. And then you want to be able to see the door off to a side. This also
Mm.
works in your bedroom. You want to have a solid headboard behind you against a solid wall and then see a door off to a side. I also I eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff. So I also will take this with me to a restaurant. Say
I
it's
was gonna say, that's
So,
exactly what I thought about when you said in a command position, because I feel like my dad growing up, my husband, like they always want to sit facing out. Like that's the
right.
fatherly role, like.
But it also just puts your body at ease. So maybe a Saturday night, I'm tired, but we're going out to a dinner. I will ask to have that table in the corner so I can have my back to in the command position, and then I can feel more supported during that time.
I've never heard it said that way. It's interesting.
Yeah, give it a try. I always say any of the feng shui cures that I recommend to anyone, give it 6 weeks, right? You have to experiment with it. I always tell clients if you don't like it, you can move things back, right? After 6 weeks, but give me 6 weeks, and it's very rare they move things back.
So you created the intuitive home method. Explain that in its relation to wellness and feng shui.
So this goes deeper than
Feng
designing
sh-
a home. There's a coaching aspect in here because I work with a lot of people feeling stuck. They call me, I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling stuck in life. I don't know what to do. And I know my environment is influencing me. I don't know what
Yep.
to do. So it's
Mm-hmm.
30 days of transformation. We work
Yes, yes.
together. Oh, it's powerful. And
Uh-huh.
we just we look at our space with fresh lenses because we don't often look at our spaces. We're so used to
No.
being in it.
And it's so true, because even when I start a project and I'm referring to pictures of clients' houses and then they come in and I might have them, they're like, that's my house. Like, you just don't even pay attention to what you're walking by every day. It just becomes, whatever in the corner. Like,
It just
it's
disappears, right?
it
But
disappears,
here's the
but
thing,
it
the
is
important thing,
serving.
it's still affecting us, whether we
Yes.
recognize it or not.
Yes.
So I actually have a practice I'll share with you that I send my clients on when we do this. And I have them
Okay.
go on a walk, take a
Okay.
stroll, go around the block, come back, take a few breaths of fresh air, and then I have them enter their home through the front door as if they were a guest and they'd never been there before.
Wow. I might
It's
try
fun.
that myself, actually, today.
It's really fun to see.
Yes.
I'd
Yeah,
love
and
to
then
have you. I'd love to have you come to our house and walk through the house with us,
I'd love
showing us
to.
room by room by room,
That would be the
what we could,
shift.
how we could shift and
Okay, well, let's
change.
go back to I have so many questions. Let's go back to the method.
Yeah, the intuitive home method. So the next step is releasing, because we know we all have stuff. We all have clutter. I even have clutter in my own home.
Yeah.
But we know how that affects us. We don't need to get into that. We know it's heavy. It brings on a lot of emotions. And sometimes it isn't clearing all the clutter from your home. That's what I like to dive into with my clients, is not always that. Sometimes it is removing that one thing standing in your way.
How do we?
It might be a photograph of someone that you framed and put on the table, and it's not a good relationship anymore, right? It may be
Right.
a family heirloom that just isn't feeling right, or something you brought into your space, or you're hanging on to a box of paperwork that's in the corner, right? You're not noticing it, but it's still affecting you and affecting your nervous system. So we release. The next step then is implementation of Feng Shui. So I do the full Feng Shui review of their space, tell them what they need to know. And then the last step of this is, how do we keep them moving in the right direction? How do we stay the course? And we put together plans and systems.
Wow. So how long does it take you to assess a space?
Typically, I can have it turned around in about a week, just
Okay.
depending on workload and everything.
Right, of course.
It's typically a week, and then you're ready to go. I do a video recording to share everything with you, and then we do some follow-up sessions and everything too. So we're definitely working together, and that's why I created the intuitive home method, because I have some clients that just want the information and they're going to implement it and do it on their own, and then I have other clients that want to work
They're
together.
handheld, yeah.
They want the support as they're doing these adjustments and shifts to their home.
So your report is like a detailed report, room by room, of all of the different things that could change or should change or be repositioned.
All the recommendations following their goals. So I dive deep into goals, and a lot of times I get the goals of, oh, I just want my home to feel better.
Yeah, they want the easy route.
Right? I'm like, what do you really, really want? Because this can feel a little woo and a little out there, but it's really powerful once things are aligned in our space and it's truly supporting us, that things can come to fruition, and it just feels like magic and wild, but it's just energetic alignment. So if you want something big, if you want the promotion, if you want to grow your family, if you want whatever, we can work towards that.
That is just so cool.
It's very fun. Yeah.
So when you're starting this process, I mean, do you start it with like a normal agreement? What is your business structure in a little bit of a nutshell if somebody was wanting to bring you aboard?
Sure. Yeah. I have a few options on my website, including the intuitive home method, and we just work together. We plan a schedule. We put it together, a system. I do kind of customize a lot of things because I have a lot of clients that are going through things.
Mm-hmm.
divorce, illness. We have the great things, right? But then sometimes there are the
Yeah.
other things that aren't so wonderful in life, and they need a lot of support. So oftentimes I'll customize something for them. Most of my work is virtual. I get to work with clients
Which
all
is
over the
That was
world.
amazing. I was going to say, though, but I think that's really amazing.
Yeah, that was a question I was going to ask is how
It
much of it can you do virtual?
There's amazing things I could tell you about your life from just looking at your floor plan. It sounds
I
wild, but
believe
it's
it. I
just
So
believe that.
when you say floor plan, you mean just like a blueprint or
a
photos?
traditional floor plan drawing, or
Uh,
sometimes clients will submit their own drawings, which I have to get a little creative if they don't have the builder drawings. But we can work. Google Earth tells me so much about your
Yeah,
space as
right.
well, right?
right.
Because
And real
the
estate
original,
websites, right? We do
right?
like
Um,
realtor.com.
So it's a floor plan with all the position of all your furniture.
No, no, we don't even get into furniture. That's
Okay.
like another layer. It's literally just looking at the arrangements, what's next to what, where the children might be sleeping, where those
Right.
rooms are, where the bathrooms are in relation, how your front door is connected to the other spaces. That alone can make huge shifts. We might want to draw your eye in a specific direction from the front door, right? Or we might want to draw your eye away from the bathroom door.
Right.
Mm.
So it's
Mm.
photos that you're looking or video
It's
Or
photos,
both.
video,
or
and floor plan
A
drawings, yeah.
Zoom call with someone walking around with their cell
You
phone
know,
show.
when I first started doing most of this virtual work, I was like, "Oh, I really wanna do this. I don't know if it's going to work." But then I was like, "Okay, my 75-year-old mother can use Zoom. I can teach anyone. We
Yeah.
can use Zoom. It's easy.
Right.
Click a button and we'll make it work."
Isn't that the truth?
Mhm.
Yeah, because I realize like walking into people's houses, you walk into certain rooms and you can feel like this room is like a fun room. This room feels wonderful. But then you walk into other rooms and it's like, oh my God.
Or it's uncomfortable,
Well,
it's
yeah.
cluttered, like yeah, and I guess we tend to be a little more in tune since we do this for a living. But I would say, what are like the first like, oh my gosh, no, like the big no-nos?
Well, of course, clutter. We want to limit as much clutter as possible. But number 2, which
And
I'm
when
sure
you,
you
I hate to interrupt, but clutter, like, because we live in this mass consumption world. So can clutter be organized or like layered properly, or is clutter like a
Just
mess?
or just too much stuff.
Yeah.
Release, release, release. I
Yeah.
wrote this quote down the other day because I saved it. It was fascinating. 80% of the items we keep are never used.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Our house is a great testament to
But our
that.
house is like everything that we have in our house is like from some place or something that we've done in life.
Mm.
It's not stuff that we just bought and has really no meaning. Everything has a meaning to it.
Well,
we
that's
take
what's
it.
important. That's what's really important. And, it's getting rid of the things that don't bring you joy, that don't light you up when you look at them. I mean, you might
Right.
have your great aunt's decorative vase that was so important to her, but if it's packed away in a box and you
Right.
see it once every 3 years, you're not enjoying it. I
Right.
suggest
Right.
take a photo of it and put it on your computer screen. Put it on your phone. Frame
Interesting.
it, and so you
Yeah,
can visibly
that's so
see
cute,
it.
actually. Make something
Yeah.
from it.
But the next big thing is, which I think you will fully agree with me, is the toilet lids open.
Yes, that's a huge pet peeve of
Wait, say
mine.
that again?
The toilet seats open.
Oh, that's bad?
That is
Of course
very
it's
bad.
bad. It's
I always
not
want the first thing you see when you walk into a room to be something beautiful. So you enter the room and your eyes go to something beautiful, whether that's a
Yes.
beautiful piece of artwork or a beautiful rug or something decorative, not you walk into the bathroom and there's the toilet drain.
It's so funny you say that because we have a house that we purchased it 4 months ago because we flip houses as well as decorating houses. We just put the house on the market and I found myself like 3 days ago, they did some showings and I went in afterwards and I noticed that one of the toilet seats was up. And I thought to myself, I got to close that because Tiffany would close that immediately.
Yeah, that's
And I
the
walked away
first
going,
no-no.
that was strange. I closed the toilet, but it actually made the room, the bathroom, like,
Look proper.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Definitely. I've worked at a lot of yoga studios over the years, and especially for one woman who owned multiple studios. And in all the bathrooms, we would put a little sign on the back of the toilet that said, "For good feng shui, please close the toilet lid." And everyone would generally have a laugh, but they do it in the end, and that is what was most important. And it was cute, and
And
it
then
worked
they
out
might
great.
even bring it back home, and it might get implemented into their own
Definitely.
life.
I think we should
Definitely.
do that.
That's a big one. The next one is not using your front door.
Oh, wait, tell
So
us about that.
this is interesting. So the front door in feng shui is considered the mouth of qi. This is where energy comes into your home, right? New
Mm-hmm.
opportunities, new fresh energy comes
So
in.
true, yeah.
So if you're not using it, you're probably feeling pretty stuck or stagnant in life. And I know we have garages. We
Right.
Right.
come and go through the garage, but I encourage everyone to come up with a plan, come up with a reason for using your front door. Maybe put the dog leash, and in the table next to the front door, or that's where you take your morning walk in and out of the front door, or you get the mail through the front door. Use it,
Yes.
get it flowing, make it
Yes.
beautiful.
I love
And
that.
that's another interesting thing that you bring up, because we were watching a movie the other day, and I realized that every movie that you watch, everyone enters and comes in and out through the front door of the house, even TV shows. But we go in and out through the garage. And I
Mhm.
Yeah.
realized,
do.
like, in our neighborhood, everyone goes in and out through their garage.
But you're also right in saying it is such an exciting energy using the front door, because every time you do go open the front door, it's to greet a friend, greet a guest. Like my girls have music. He comes through the front door. You get your packages through the front door. Amazon comes to the front door.
So what other interesting, because those are two good ones you've brought up. What other ones are there?
So I have a default. If you want to do nothing else to your home,
Uh-huh.
but you still want to lift the energy a bit,
Yeah.
find the centermost area of your home. So to do that, you can walk to what would be the center of your home, or look at a floor plan drawing. You want to find the centralmost location. So
Uh-huh.
using
Okay.
that tool that I mentioned earlier, the Bagua map,
Mm-hmm.
this specific energy center is connected to health and well-being. However, the way the Bagua is laid out is the energy from this gua connects to all the other guas. So if you're improving this one area, you're essentially improving your entire home. We don't have to dig deep into every space, but if you love on this area, so that's those like normal things that make sure the light bulbs aren't burned out, make sure the floor is swept, the rug is clean, the glass on the artwork is clean, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then how can you enhance it? Bring in a beautiful bouquet of flowers, which is
I
my
was just gonna
favorite.
say, is every room supposed to have like a living thing, or is that an old wives' tale type of? I mean, I always like my references of feng shui was like a black item, isn't in a space.
A
Even
black
if it,
item?
yeah, and like some teacher at one point, or like I think it was even like in a class, was like, yeah, even if it's just a speck of black in a rug, it's important to have that black.
Well, that would be the water element. So
Yeah.
you're gonna have that touch of the water element. But I would have a speck of each of the elements, right? You don't have to default to color. So that can be through other things, through the shapes, through the patterns, that watery pattern for a water element if you don't like blue or black. Because of course we're designing beautiful spaces and we want our client to love the colors we're using. So when we can bring in
Right.
patterns and shapes, that makes it easier.
Yeah, and not everybody wants a lot of color, and some do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think the plants are most valuable in a monochromatic scheme.
Mm-hmm.
For me, texture, when you have a
Yes.
monochromatic scheme, texture
Is key.
and
Yes.
plants. Those are the
Mhm.
two keys to making it work.
So, what was one of your big client transformations that was like, wow, this is why I'm doing this?
Mm. I had a woman reach out to me, and this was several years ago when I'd trained in it already for several years, but I was at this crossroads where I was questioning, do I stick with traditional design? Do I fully dive into this? Just
You were
trying
looking
to
for a
navigate.
sign. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Trying to navigate that. And so I went to this woman's house and she told me she needed some help with a few things, and that was it. So I had all my samples with me and I'm walking up to her front door and walk in, nice as can be, felt completely normal. We did a quick walk through the house and then we sat down at the dining table. And she sat across from me and looked me directly in the eyes and said, "Lisa, I'm dying. I need your help setting up my space so when my
Wow.
children so that when I'm gone, my children and my husband can go on living."
Oh,
Right? So they're ready to go move forward. She'd been battling cancer for many years and rounds, and it was just it had taken a toll and she'd made this decision. So we did some general just needed some upkeep, right? Needed
yeah.
some new carpeting in their sitting room, needed some new furniture. But then we did it with feng shui in mind, right? We did these adjustments knowing they needed grounding during this
Yeah.
this big time
Right.
in their life. They needed comfort and coziness. They needed a sense of renewal when the time comes. So a lot of earth element, a lot of wood element. And then the other thing is we created some really special moments in the house. So they
Mm.
love to go on trips and travel
Mm-hmm.
and had tons of photos. We made a beautiful collage wall so they could
Mm.
enjoy and look at these together as a family, right? During that time. And then down the road when she was no longer there, they could still enjoy this collage wall.
Right.
So for me, that just
Very
even
intentional.
just even having her call me and
Right.
us being put together in the same room, I was just like, "Okay, I
Wow.
meant to do this." And
Wow.
she lived for
Yeah.
a couple more years and then passed, and I just it was a very touching moment in my life.
So how would somebody like that lady, how do they get to you? I mean, is it a referral most of the time? Is it through, online? Is it through their own research? Like, how does somebody get to
So
that?
I actually just published my book last fall, Aligned at Home, which is a great resource to start exploring this. And then if you do want to work together, I also have a podcast called Feng Shui Living Tips for Busy Women. So I created this podcast because, gosh, we are all so busy.
Yes.
And each episode is maybe 20 minutes long with
Okay.
quick tips that you can go home and implement tonight
I
or this
love that.
weekend. Easy adjustments to make yourself feel better. So you can check out the podcast for
What's the name of it again? Repeat the name so we have that.
Feng Shui Living
Feng
Tips
Shui
for Busy
Living.
Women.
And is it available out there, iTunes, and for people to
Wherever you
find?
get podcasts. Also, if you like video, it's on YouTube. You can see
YouTube
All right,
my
too.
great,
face.
great. No, it's a good place for people to.
I know because I say this a lot being in this business is interior design and the business of design is still such an untapped market in my opinion. It's now becoming more well known. For the last many, many years, it was like a luxury that people would have an interior designer. And I feel like the curating process, it's, furniture stores just can't do that for clients. It's a relationship. You're building this foundation in design and you're really curating your home and your family's safe space and a place to be proud of and, to enjoy. And it's such a, at the same time, wellness, I mean, has to be the number one selling feature of everything in the marketplace today. Everybody wants to feel healthy, less encumbered in this very busy world. I mean, I can't imagine how awesome of a resource you are that you took this on to kind of marry these two philosophies.
It's been a wonderful experience to be able to help people. I've always kind of been a helper. I love doing, supporting people. Um, and this is a deeper layer to do that and help them through those difficult times. Also help through the amazing times. And it design is it's so valuable, whether it's feng shui holistic design or more just traditional design, like um not getting into the feng shui, holistic design, whatever, it's so valuable. Having your home make you feel
Function.
good, make you feel welcome at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
Have you
right?
ever had a project that was so challenging that when you looked at it, it you were puzzled or challenged on how you could help or assist?
I actually worked on a condo down in Miami,
The
and
concrete jungle.
well, the
Mm.
layout, it was this really wild shaped building, and the condo actually formed a triangle.
Uh-huh.
And then
There's
when
a
I was
lot of
looking
weird
at it,
shapes in these buildings.
I know, and it just was I told him, I'm like, "Here's the thing. This is telling me that you're broke, your relationships, you're not feeling supported, and all these different things." And he's like, "Yes, I just got divorced. I just moved here." So he's agreeing, right? And I'm like, "Your space is reflecting this. You're not going to move
Oh
forward if you stay in this space."
my
So he ended
gosh.
up was trying to decide between the two. Does he stay here and move to the other one? I'm like, move on. If you're ready to take another step in life and move forward, you gotta get out of this
You gotta
place.
get out of here.
Did he move?
That's
He did, he did.
crazy. That is so crazy. And that's another thing I find so interesting about it too, is because even as I get calls for renovations or, different architecture styles, I just feel like not studying feng shui, but you walk in and the architecture has terrible feng shui. Just in placement of, like, as I'm trying to do what I do, just it doesn't make sense. What do you do in those circumstances? Like these crazy buildings, or I feel like in the 90s architects tried to be super creative and they went away from the classic, rectangular spaces, and now they have all these there's always angles everywhere. I said half of what I do is really just square up spaces.
Yes. I have so much respect for architects. However, they don't always think about how you're going to furnish it, number one, and
No.
how the people are going to move through the space. How are they gonna
Right.
walk through the space
Right.
or move about it? So that's where we come in to really be able to furnish it. It can be tricky. Um, I use a lot of I think I mentioned a couple times, I like to use different tools to
Mhm.
draw your eye in certain directions. So maybe instead of the cement pillar, we'll draw your eye over to, 6 feet to a plant, right? So that goes away, and that's not something you're visually experiencing, but the green plant, which makes you feel renewed, is where your eye is going, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
just getting creative, using artwork, using all the tools we can.
That's so
Are there
interesting.
conferences or conventions that people can go to learn more about this?
I actually do my own I do some trainings, I offer certification that I don't know of any. There are some online things. I There are also some great books.
Uh-huh.
Um YouTube videos, go explore. Here's what I will say, what I struggled with and why I wrote my book is because when I first started studying this, I would read one book and I'd kind of get it. And then I'd read another book and I was thoroughly confused. I'm like, wait a minute, the other
Well,
one
I would
said
say
this.
that's me too.
Okay,
Whatever I
so
have read, like I don't know where it begins and ends, and then how to actually make it work.
exactly. So then this is my goal in writing my book. I'm like, I want it easy to understand. So feng shui, like so many other things, over years has shifted into different schools or sects. So I'm also
Mm.
a yogi, right? So you might practice vinyasa yoga, and then your
Mhm.
friend might practice ashtanga, right? It's similar to that. So there's multiple different schools
Of
of
thought.
approach.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the key is to find out that person, maybe how their approach works and then continue studying that approach versus just random books, because that's what will get you confused.
Yeah, it is like I would think it's, like yoga or like most things, like the practice has to be continual and has to,
Well, we're
be in
also
harmony versus like you don't want to be putting that little speck of black in the room that you're not supposed to.
Well, I think it's
Uh,
important to recognize too,
uh,
we don't live like they did 4,000 years ago,
yes,
right?
exactly.
We need to live in
Shift
our
the
current home and
philosophy.
with a melting pot of people and different traditions and practices and materials and electronics, and
I
it's
was Yeah, I
different.
was going to ask about electronics and all of that. I actually recently have a client who's very into health and in wellness. She's a yogi as well. And she found this company locally here in South Florida that comes in and basically puts all these little objects in places to, I can't even think of the right word, but take all that
The
technology.
EMFs.
EMFs, yes.
Yes.
So, I mean, is that a part of this? I mean, in this new, as you grow with I mean, what we're, like you said, houses
tell us
aren't
about this.
built like
So
that.
these electromagnetic frequencies, we
Yep.
have electronics everywhere, and we can't really escape them. Internet, wireless signals and things. So we can use different things around our space. Now, I would say this is something I do with my clients, but not everyone in Feng Shui might get into EMFs, right? Um, but it's important to recognize there's different things you can do to support yourself. One of my favorite things, probably the most wonderful thing I ever bought, I'll say it, is a grounding sheet for my bed.
Huh.
There's
We have a
specific
child who
sheets.
has one. Yeah.
Since we bought them,
Wow.
it's amazing.
That's crazy.
So people listening and watching, a grounding sheet for their bed. What is?
Grounding sheets for your bed. They're
Is
different.
is this the blankets that really, really heavy?
No, it's actually a sheet that has metallic threads woven, tiny, woven
Wow.
through, and then you plug it into the ground, only the ground outlet. There's just one little nub that
Yep,
plugs
yep.
into the ground in your home, and this can be a really deep dive in looking into this, but even just being aware. Are there several electrical outlets near your head where you're sleeping?
Yeah, I had a client who didn't want her son's headboard on one wall because all the the electric boxes were
Electrical
on that
stuff,
walk
yeah.
in the garage.
It's definitely important, and people will notice if you're being affected by this. You might feel foggy headed. You might just be always sleepy. You're not resting well.
That would be me.
It's interesting to look at and just look at where you're spending long periods of time. So that could be in bed, that could be at your desk, that wherever you're spending long periods of time and what's around you.
So what does the grounding sheet do? Does it like ward off all that electric
So it
current?
actually plugs into a ground the ground wire that goes down into the earth from your home, right?
Yep.
Huh.
And so it mimics that connecting to the earth.
Wait,
It's
how does it do that?
It's like a ground. So I don't know how to best explain it, but it
Like
kind
it
of
goes
pulls the
through the
electricity away.
foundation?
Yeah. Yeah, because
so every
everything's grounded.
every
Your
home has
plumbing
a
is grounded.
grounding rod, right? When
Yeah.
it's built,
Yep.
and it connects to the electrical that then connects to your sheet. And this is just one. There are grounding mats.
Yes,
Some
I've
people
seen
travel
that.
with.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah, yeah.
seen that.
So this is just one little way to get into um, supporting your body. I mean, that's really what all this work is about. There are different things you can do if you want to lean a little more woo. Rocks and crystals, right? They're chunks
That's
of
what
the earth.
she did too. And then these triangular crystals.
We could talk for days. There's so many different
Totally.
options.
That's what I
just-
mean. It's such an untapped, it's just beginning, I feel like.
For the average person who would like to learn more about this, how much time does it take to really fully understand and bring this into your life? Is it
For
easy as is as easy as reading your book and then
Go
kind of
read
close
my
it?
book.
No, but
Yeah.
reading your book and close and finish reading it and really have a full, great sense of.
I think you'll have a great understanding, and you will feel reset in how you look at your space, right? You will have different lenses to view your space,
Right.
right? And you'll be able to see things you didn't see before and realize, oh, well, that's why I never felt comfortable sitting in that chair before. Things will click and
Right.
things will make sense. If you want to, I mean, I've studied it for over 10 years. I think you can go deep, and it takes a long time, but you can make great, amazing, wonderful shifts for your home, your life, your family, just with a few easy adjustments.
I love that. So what's one easy adjustment that you'd like to leave our listeners with today?
Ooh, well, I made up a word, and it's called nestoration.
I
So
love it.
I wrote about it in my book, and it's all about tending to your nest, right? Tending to this
Mhm.
beautiful nest that's our home, and it doesn't always have to be big little things. It can be, an example of a nestoration is just it's slowing down and taking an extra moment to infuse your home with a little love. So that could be making your bed, and instead of quickly making it, take an extra minute. Smooth out the
Mm.
blanket with love.
Mhm. Mhm.
Adjust the trim on the pillow, so when you
I
walk in
do
tonight, it
that.
feels really
I
Yeah,
nice.
do
that's
But
you
all
every
that. I
day.
do all of
just
that.
just little just slow down, take 1 extra minute as you're doing an everyday thing.
I do that too at night before I go to bed. I like it to wake up and you feel, like your house was taken care of.
Exactly, exactly, and
I love
it's
that.
also that energy and time that you're putting into it. It's just a brief moment, but it's infusing your home with love and care for it,
And
which will just come back.
intention.
So putting flowers into the house every week, would that be part of that?
I'm one of those people. I struggle with the winter blahs. So I started this a few years back, and I call it the flower challenge. And I encourage all my clients to do the same, to every week bring in flowers. And it can even be just like a small little bouquet, or just even a clipping of a house plant from a neighbor, right? Every week bring in plants or flowers into your home as a gift to your home. Not to
Oh.
you, but
So
to your home.
Tiffany's been doing that forever in our house. There's 6 rooms in the house every week. I'll go to Costco. It's better make sure you bring the flowers. And I
I
bring the 2
love it.
bouquet of
I
flowers
know.
and
Trader Joe's is
my
a
kid
good
and
one
our
Trader
kids.
Joe's is
too.
the
It's the
best.
best. I
Yeah.
know. That's why we
And our
go.
kids, and our kids, the girls, they cut the flowers and 6 rooms every single week. There's fresh flowers.
That's fantastic. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Oh,
And
I
I
feel like in our
But
profession, we
but
come
you've
by
made me
it.
feel so much better about it because I always look at it. You're spending the money on flowers. It's just going to die by the end of the week. But she's insistent, and my kids are now too, and it does make a nice difference.
It
Seeing
does. So
those,
that's that wood
yes,
element, the energy of renewal and regrowth and moving forward and taking that next step. So it's a beautiful thing to bring in, worth every penny of your investment.
See?
So, do you ever do classes with groups of people?
I
And what
do. I
would
do offer some classes. I have a really fun one that is my favorite to do. It's called Color Mastery. And we dive into color because I feel like color appeals to so many people, whether you're into design, whether you're into feng shui, whether you're just like an artist or curious about color. We talk about a little history about color, um, some color theory, but then we get into color psychology, which is so fun to
It's huge
explore.
too. That's
Oh,
just another big
it's powerful.
component. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So we get into color psychology, and then we talk about putting together a rough palette. Like if you're not working with a designer and you're like, I'm lost, here's how you can start, right? And think about the
Right.
things that you are selecting, right? I love to get into a little bit of trends in this as well, because trends are fun. And I always say people, you don't have to follow a trend, right? Use it as
Mhm.
inspiration, but you need
Mhm.
to know prior to implementing that trend how it's going to affect your body.
Hmm.
For example, the deep, moody colors that have been so popular,
Right.
they're great, but you need to know that that is going to put being just surrounded by the burgundy, the charcoal, the chocolate
Yes.
brown, the navy, it's going to put your body into a feeling kind of like the winter season. You're going to
Okay.
want to curl up with a cup
It's
of tea.
cozy. Yeah, it's a
Yeah, you're not
cozy
going to be super
palette.
motivated to go get on the treadmill. So you just need to be aware of that. Yeah, so that's one of my favorite classes.
I really think that's fascinating.
Hmm.
Well, there's so much to learn and tap into. We're so grateful for sharing your information with us today. And I want to read your book. I'm going to
Oh my
definitely.
goodness. I would love to send you a copy.
I
It's
would.
been a
I think it's something I feel like I'm doing subconsciously. So I'd love to
Yes.
understand why I'm, kind of connecting to some of those philosophies in my own, design process.
We appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you so much. And I have to say, I think being in the design world, I think you start practicing these things naturally without knowing. But once you have a word to put with it or a description, it all clicks and you're like, aha, I understand it now.
Yeah,
And
and I
you
would
know why
love
you're doing
that.
things.
Absolutely. I would love to, understand more. I do think it's so important. And especially in, as we said, this world where everybody's eating healthier, they're making healthier lifestyle choices. Like, why not connect that to your home?
Mhm.
I mean, that's just one more step of alignment.
And what's your website to let our audience know?
Sure. It's purelivingwithlisamorton.com and it's spelled Morton, Pure Living with Lisa Morton.
All right. We appreciate it.
Aligned at home.
Stay with
Thank
us. Don't
you.
leave as we wrap up.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the iDesign Lab today with Lisa Morton.